Welcome to Accounting 510 Online. My name is Scott Erickson. I'll be the instructor in this course, and this is an introductory video on how the course is going to operate this semester. So let's get started. First, we need to go out to Blackboard and enter into the course. When you enter Blackboard, the first thing that you'll see will be announcements. The only announcement I have in there right now is a welcoming announcement where I talk about this video. So in all likelihood, you've seen that announcement, and that's why you're watching this video. Nonetheless, it's important that you keep an eye on announcements throughout the course. It's my understanding that I will not be able to add or modify the Blackboard shell once the course begins. However, I'm in the process of making videos of the various different topics in this course. And so I will try to find a way to get a link into Blackboard so that you can go out to my YouTube channel. There's the address right there on the announcement where you can see these videos. Likewise, whenever I do make a video, I will have a URL for it, and I will make an announcement always here in Blackboard and provide that URL. So that's something to keep an eye on. All right, regarding information about myself, you can find that here under instructor information, my office in HSB room 204, phone number. That's not really worth much because I'm not up at CSU Pueblo hardly at all. The very best way to get a hold of me is always by email. You can see what my background is there. Turns out that the vast majority of my academic career was spent overseas, primarily in Spain, a couple years in Scotland. I returned to the United States about 14, 15 years ago here to CSU Pueblo. All right, continuing on here with Blackboard, let's take a look at getting started. That gives you a course overview and some of this generic type of information for these courses. I suspect this type of stuff is pretty standard throughout your different courses. So let's move on to course information. Here we have some key documentation that we will need to take a look at here. We've got the syllabus. We're going to open that up in a moment and go through that step by step. I've also got information up there on how to register for my accounting lab. And I've also got the tentative homework schedule. So let's go ahead and open up the syllabus. Download that. All right. Here's information, course goals, student performance, objectives, this type of thing. Down here we get into an overview of the course, which gets into specific information about this course. This course is an online course which extensively utilizes the Pearson My Accounting Lab publisher platform. So all content assessment will take place in My Accounting Lab. So the way to think about this is Blackboard is a shell. The thing that we will do in Blackboard, it's a repository for holding things, and then we also have the discussion board in there, but everything else will take place outside of Blackboard in My Accounting Lab. So in terms of required materials, you must have My Accounting Lab access to complete this course. You may, if you like, also purchase a textbook, or you can use the e-text in My Accounting Lab. That choice is up to you. Once you get your My Accounting Lab access, you'll need to register for the corresponding course, and I'll walk you through how to do that here later in this video. Okay, regarding this course runs 8 weeks, contains 8 modules. That's standard for this MBA program. In the case of this particular course, each module contains 2 chapters, which makes the pace of this course very, very fast. The majority, but not all of the modules contain related chapters. That said, it's still very important that you work the chapters in the order described in the assignment schedule, because chapters tend to build on each other. Material tends to build on itself. Each course will run for 1 week, beginning on Monday at midnight and concluding the following Sunday at 11:59 p.m. All required assessments, discussions, etc. must be completed by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. At that time, that particular module will close. All right, the My Accounting Lab resources include the following. First, we have what we call dynamic study modules. This is a adaptive learning tool where you're asked questions, you provide input on how confident you are about your answer. And one way to think about these would be they're similar to pre-quizzes or pre-homework problems, the type of stuff where you've looked at something before you've actually read the chapter and gone over the material. The DSMs are required and they constitute part of your grade. You get full credit for doing them. Next we have exercises and problems. This is the assigned homework for each chapter. These are required. This is a component of your grade. They are not graded for accuracy, so you will get full credit for completing them. There's no time limit. You can go back and do it as much as you want. My recommendation is you work the homework extensively before you move on to the next thing, which are the quizzes. There are no exams in this course. However, there are two types of quizzes. There are mastery question quizzes and there are calculative quizzes. One of my pet peeves in material in subjects like this is because the how is quite challenging at times, an enormous amount of time is spent on how to do something. And a lot of times I don't believe students get a really good handle on what it is they're trying to do and why they're trying to do it. If you can always ask those questions, you're trying to learn something new, ask yourself, what am I trying to do? Why am I trying to do it? For whom am I trying to do it? Then the how of what you're trying to do becomes, in many cases, pretty self-evident. So I've got two types of quizzes here, and they're designed to address those two different things. The mastery question quizzes are designed to address how well you understand what it is you're trying to do in a given topic. The calculative quizzes are like the problems in the homework, and they are how do you do it. The other component of your grade is a discussion board. That's available and be utilized for each module. Note, this is a highly quantitative course. It doesn't lend itself to open-ended discussions. Back when I taught in Spain, I taught a course just like this in the International MBA program, in the Executive International MBA program, and I also taught Management Control Systems, which was a case-based course. The case-based course was very easy to get everybody talking about what we're doing. It was very different than this type of course, which involves a lot of calculation. So my point being, I have very realistic expectations about what I want from you in terms of discussion. The type of discussion questions that I posted out there tend to be somewhat conceptual, things that I'm trying to get you to think about what we're doing and get a better handle on the what and why of what we're trying to do. All right, so in summary, your content includes the My Accounting Lab platform and instructor videos. As I commented, I'm in the process of making those. Quite often those videos will involve me working a problem and explaining logic behind a problem. That's how I tend to teach these type of classes. So in review here, you've got a discussion board. Each module will cover 2 chapters. You can choose one of the 2 chapter discussion questions. I'm going to be pretty flexible on this. I'm not going to hold you to choosing one of the 2 different discussion questions. Rather, I'll hold you to picking a couple of the questions that are out there that you're most comfortable with, that you've got some ideas about, and responding to those. Each discussion is going to be worth 5 total points, and for all 8 modules, that will add up to 45 points, and I'll discuss all that in a moment. You have the dynamic study modules. They're untimed. You have full access to all resources. They're like pre-homework type problems. They're worth a total of 45 points. I will assign an overall score at the end of the term for your dynamic study modules. Those should be the very first things that you do with any chapter. Homework is untimed. You got full access to all resources. That is equally worth 45 points, and I will assign an overall score at the end of the term for that. The assessed part of this class are the MQQ and the CQ quizzes. These are timed, and the time effectively, what I do with these is I take the quizzes myself and then I double the amount of time that's available for you guys. You're going to need to know how to do it. You're going to need to be ready to take those quizzes. You're not going to have time to look stuff up. Those quizzes will be graded for accuracy, and they constitute what you would generally tend to think of as the assessment or the graded assessment in a course. So again, the sequence, you should work through this. First do the DSMs, then do the homework. Then once you're really comfortable with the material, you understand what it is you're doing, why you're trying to do it, and how to do it, then it's time to take the quizzes. The discussion board are more high-level type questions that kind of float on top of the actual topics that we're looking at. So they don't really fall into this in a particular order. The overall grades will break down as follows. Your discussion board will be worth a total of 45 points. Dynamic study modules worth a total of 45 points. Homework worth a total of 45 points. Each of those is approximately 10% of your grade. So collectively, 30% of your grade is simply doing what you're supposed to do in terms of the dynamic study modules and the homework, things that you would be doing anyway, and engaging in the discussion board. And you get full credit for doing that stuff. It's not graded for accuracy. Then your mastery question quizzes and your calculated quizzes are each worth a total of 160 points, which represents about 35% of your grade. So roughly 70% of your grade is based on assessed performance via quizzes, and the other 30% is simply doing the work that you're required. Okay, the course grading scale is common throughout the MBA program. Everything runs on mountain time. Now, for both different type of quizzes, what I do, and this is a practice I've done since I began teaching, I'll be giving 16 quizzes, each type of quiz in here. I will take your lowest quiz and toss it out. In other words, I will not take an average of 16 quizzes, but I'll take your best 15 quizzes. That means you've got a margin of one quiz in there that you can miss, you can blow, you can do whatever. Okay? And I'll make that adjustment at the end of the semester. Be aware that if a quiz has a time limit of, say, 10 minutes, and it's due at 12 or 11:59, and you start the quiz later than 11:50, you're not going to get the fully allotted time. The MQQ quizzes will be about 12 minutes to do 15 straightforward multiple choice questions. The CA quizzes will be considerably longer. They might be 30, 40 minutes, and the amount of points in them will vary because they're problems. In other words, they're not all going to be the same. However, every quiz is going to be weighted to be worth 10 points. So, for example, you take a CA quiz for Chapter 1, and it's worth 30 points, and you get 30 out of 30. Well, that's 100%. You get a 10 for that quiz. You take the CA quiz for Chapter 2, let's say it's worth 40 points, and you get 30 out of 40. Well, that's 75%. So that quiz is worth 7.5. So even though the absolute point value of the quizzes are different, the relative value of every quiz is exactly the same. Regarding feedback on your quizzes, once the due date has happened, that's going to be 11:59 on Sunday night, you will be able to see your quiz. When you submit your quiz initially, all you will see is your score. But once the due date has come, you will be able to go back and look at your quizzes. You can see what you've done wrong. Any kind of questions, contact me, so forth and so on. All right, the class schedule outlining what the actual weekly assignments will be, or the assignments that pertain to each chapter and each module. They're available on Blackboard, and we'll take a look at them in a moment. Use of email. This is an online course. I'm also part-time, or I'm on a half-time contract, have been for quite some time down at CSU Pueblo. So I'm only down there one day a week. The very best way to get a hold of me is via email. I'm pretty good at checking my my email throughout the day. If you do send me something by email, it's very important you identify who you are and what it is you're talking about. And secondly, if you have a question, be as specific as possible. For example, if you're working a problem and you can't figure out why you're supposed to do something there that you see in the solution, or you don't know kind of what to do, you can send me a question with a very specific question. It's not very useful to send me an email saying, I don't know what to do. I don't understand this, because that's not a whole lot to work with. So the more specific you are, the better it's going to be. Quite often what students have done in the past is they've just taken a screenshot of the problem they're having trouble with and embed it in a Word document, send it to me. Please embed it in a Word document, because if you just put it into the email, sometimes it doesn't work out right. I can't see it properly, but if you put it in a Word document, then there are generally no kind of problems with that. Okay, so real quick, just to summarize, the vast bulk of this course takes place out on My Accounting Lab. What you have to do out here are dynamic study modules, homework, and 2 types of quizzes for every chapter. All right, let's go back to Blackboard and take a look at the tentative homework schedule. So as you can see here, we have the 8 modules, and we have the 2 different chapters that pertain to every module, and here are the assigned homework problems. These are already out there in My Accounting Lab. So when you go to My Accounting Lab, for example, in the first module, it's going to tell you that what's due for that first week is this homework right here. Okay, just finishing up going through Blackboard here. Over here in course modules, you have modules for each chapter. Now, I use these as repositories in my other courses for different types of information. I'll give you an example right here. If I have any PowerPoints that I've worked up, I tend to present them out there. And something else that I do is I offer the solutions to every chapter after that module has completed, so that you have the ability to go back and look at any problem that you've tried to work and see what the solution is. That will become available at once that module has terminated. I don't have video links out here to any of the videos because I haven't prepared the videos yet. I may be able to get them in here. Otherwise, as I said before, I'll announce them up there in announcements. Here's the discussion forums. There's a discussion for each module. That's pretty straightforward. Quizzes and homework. This is a bit confusing. This is taken out of the syllabus and explains what these things are. However, when you come down here, and you may not even be able to see this because I have this in my view, these don't really work right here. So my suggestion is you just completely ignore that particular button, quizzes and homework. In other words, you know that all the quizzes and homework, all the assessment material you have to do is out in My Accounting Lab. Okay, how do you get to My Accounting Lab? Well, this tab right here. Here's the different the registration information for registering for the course, and there's the link out there to My Accounting Lab. So, as you'll notice up there, there's 2 different documents for registration. The textbook that we're working out of is the first edition of this textbook, and because it's the first edition, they have not developed specific dynamic study modules for this book. However, the DSMs are very, very valuable. And what I've done as a workaround for a couple years in this class is use them from another textbook, same subject, same authors. There's no way to import them into our primary course, so the workaround that I sorted out with the publisher a couple years ago was to create a companion course that contains those DSMs and then provide you with an access code. So what this means is you will have to sign up for 2 My Accounting Lab courses. one of which you will have to pay for. That's the primary course. And then there will be a second one. The primary course is this one right here. The second one is the companion course. Notice that the first one is, those are the authors, Dattarajan, first edition. And this course is based on the 16th edition of this textbook. Very similar, same authors. And I will provide you with an access code so you can register for that course for free. So what we need to do is download both of those registration documents. Let's take a look at them. Okay, to go register for my companion course, you'll need to go to Pearson's My Lab. This right here is the name of the course, and that's what you're going to need to look for. You need to set up an account, and then you're going to need to look for that particular course. For the primary course, you're going to do the exact same thing, but there's the code right there. All right, so let's take a look at how we would go about doing that. Here's the link to Pearson. So when you come out here to Pearson, you need to register for the course. So you come in as a student. Register now. I don't know how far I can get into this without, oh, okay, here's the course ID. So put that in there, create your course, and this will allow you to register for my course. So you'll need to do that for both of these. In order to do it for the second course, you will need that free access code. I will need each of you to send me an email. If you go back to getting started, you're asked to send me an introductory email telling me something about yourself and giving me a good email address to get a hold of you, so forth and so on. In response to that email, I will send you back the access code for the companion course. Okay, so then you'll need to register for both of those two courses. Once you get registered, you can sign in. Okay, and you'll see, these are my courses, you'll see whatever courses you may have under Pearson. You'll have at least these two right here. So I'm going to go to my companion course first, and the reason for that is because for every chapter, this should be the first thing you do. Go in there and do the dynamic study modules. So let's open that up. Okay. This is what you're going to expect to see. These dynamic study modules are coming out of this cost accounting textbook. As I said, it's the same authors, same material, same type of course, etc., etc. Notice that you don't have any assignments that are showing up here. The reason for that is that, and I can show you here under Instructor's Home, the reason for that is the assigned homework. There they are, the dynamic study modules. They do not become available until this course starts, which is on next Monday, the 14th of October. So once that date rolls around, the dynamic study modules for all 16 chapters we'll be looking at will become available. As you can see right there with their start dates, and then there's the due dates. The chapter up here is the chapter in our textbook. The number in parentheses is the chapter in the cost accounting textbook. A lot of these overlap, but for example here, process costing in our textbook, that's chapter 5, chapter 17 over there in the cost accounting textbook. All right. Okay, and that's all you would do in that companion course. Then you come into the main course. And what you would expect to see is this right here. This is the textbook we're using. There are currently no upcoming assignments for the exact same reason. None of the material becomes available until Monday, the 14th of October. So what I'm going to do here is go over to the instructor view. show you what this is going to look like. So in terms of homework, chapter 1, and the way I've set up the homework is all the assigned exercises are combined, and all the assigned problems are combined. So for example, in chapter 1 there are no problems, there's only 3 exercises. In chapter 2 there's 2 exercises and 3 problems. So you can see all of the homework becomes available next Monday, and then the due date depends on that particular module. For quizzes, there will be a MQQ for every chapter, and there, except for the first chapter there, because in the first chapter there is no how. And for every subsequent chapter, there will be a mastery question quiz and a calculated quiz. Because there is no CA for the first chapter, I may make that weighted a little bit more. If I do, I'll make an announcement. Okay, so let's go ahead and sign out of here. We'll go back to Blackboard. Here in announcements, I've got the link to my YouTube channel. I've only got one video out there. That's an introductory video for a finance course I'm teaching. But this is what my YouTube channel will look like, and that's where all my videos for this course will be. As I said, when I make a video, I will post that URL in the announcements. I will also try to get a link button in the Blackboard shell that takes you out to this YouTube channel. But nonetheless, you have the address on how to get here. Coming back in here to Blackboard, the last thing I would comment on are grades. So this right here is where you would look at your grades. What you're going to see that's been loaded are the discussion questions, because they will be graded every week. The quizzes will be graded every week, and then the homework and the dynamic study modules, you will get 1 grade at the end of the semester. So again, to summarize, dynamic study modules are worth approximately 10% of your grade. You get full credit for doing them. They should be the first thing you do. Secondly, homework is worth approximately 10% of your overall grade. You get full credit for doing that. That should be the second thing that you do. The discussion board is worth approximately 10% of your grade. The discussion board doesn't tie to any type of homework questions. They're a little bit more conceptual. They're intended to get you to kind of think more about what it is we're doing and how a lot of this stuff hangs together. They're worth approximately 10% of your grade. And then we have the MQQs, which are worth 160 points or 35% of your grade. The calculated quizzes, which are worth 160 points, 35% of your grade. So the graded assessment in this course is 70% of your grade. As I mentioned, for each type of quiz, I will drop your lowest quiz score, and the way I will make that adjustment in Blackboard is here under these quiz adjustment columns. So for example, if your lowest quiz score was 2, the way I'm going to treat this is essentially as extra credit. You're going to get 2 points extra credit, and it's going to show up in that column. If your lowest quiz score was a 10, if you got 10 10s on all your quizzes, then that adjustment will be 10 points, and it will have the same effect as 10 extra point credits. So in that particular case, you would have 170 points out of 160 possible points. Okay. All right, that's it. If you have any questions, here's my email address. Give me a shout, and I will look forward to getting started with all you guys next Monday. See you then.